live stream. Hope you've all had a great weekend. It's been a bit wet here today, to say the least. A little bit disappointing. So I'm kind of hoping that tomorrow is going to be a hell of a lot better. I just need to check that my broadcasts are coming through. So bear with me a second. Okay, so we've got one, and I just need to check my other one, and then we will be good to go. Here we go. Excellent. Right, there we go. Right, I am painting some Deathwing Terminators today, and I think that I'm going to need to just... Yeah, so they've only received a prime of Wraithbone, so I am going to have to just go over them with a proper base coat. Now, I already prepared a Wraithbone in my plastic palette. Because I'm going to be doing a lot, I've put plenty into one of the little circles there, and I don't plan to just paint an armor panel at a time with this. I'm getting a reasonably large brush, and it's getting slathered, as it were, not messing about. I want a nice even coat where I can. So the paint has been thinned down a fair bit, and if I need to come in and do a second coat, I can do without worrying about messing up detail. But these are the firstborn Terminators, as it were. They're not the new older type. I've still got plenty of these in my backlog that I need to get painted up, and I'm still going to play them in games because, you know, as far as I can tell, the loadouts are the same. So yeah, I don't intend to get rid of my firstborn Terminators, as it were, to much expense. So that'll do for that one. These are my Deathwing Terminators, and what I actually did was I used parts from the Deathwing Terminator box set along with parts from the Assault Terminator box set to make them more Dark Angels themed. So I've made sure to use things like appropriate shoulder pads with feathers and iconography on them, but the body and arms have come from the Assault Terminator set. Had a head as well with the Dark Angel symbol on it. So they've all just been used to help theme the unit that I'm painting. I've probably got about another half dozen units that I need to get finished that are literally just in a state of primer. I do have a habit of building stuff and putting a primer on it, and then it goes in a tub until I can get around to painting them. So what better excuse to get or to start on one of the units I need to finish than on the live stream. Now this unit was a bit mix and match. I do have a Terminator that I'd built from a previous kit and had part painted, so he needs some panel painting on his armor to bring him up to a better looking finish, as it were. So I would take a little bit more care about painting his panels. But again, this is another one. I've used the torso from the Deathwing Knights Dark Angels Terminator box set here, and I've got the shoulder pad that came with the Dark Angels Veterans box set on this particular Terminator. We are literally just moving paint around on this guy to make sure that everything has a good base coat, good solid base coat that we can work on. I think that's that for now. And there's this guy. I see that some of the channels have been, some of the other like rumour channels have been talking about potential miniatures coming next. Is it Tiberius the Red Wake who was part of the Minotaurs as part of the Forge World range, which was part of the releases for the Badab War trilogy? No, it's just duo of books, wasn't it? Vrax was Siege of Vrax was 3 books. Badab War was 2. Right, and that's that done. Let's just clean the brush out. And I need, so this guy has been part painted, but I need to come in and, because his armor, I can't remember what I did something wrong and his armor doesn't look good. So I'm going to just come in and repaint the main parts of his armor. Just give him a solid base coat to work from. So this guy is going to take a little bit more time to get right. I think what I did, I was experimenting and I slathered him with I completely slathered him with Seraphim Sepia, and it didn't work out so well. Hence why I'm having to just go over a lot of the panels on this guy to bring him back up to a standard that I'm happy with. Where I can, I shall leave the recesses dark. but I think that was a failed experiment, which is why I'm having to do this in the way that I am. I haven't really caught up with much of the news going on in GW's world. I don't know exactly what's been released this week. Does anybody know what the releases are? If I remember rightly, we're still massively into the Iron Warriors releases, I think, at the moment, because we've had the Defiler, which looks cool. I did see that. I'm excited about that. I won't get one unless it comes with a box set that I might be getting for, you know, because it just comes in a box set that I might be getting for some whatever reason. But it does look good. I particularly like the way that they've chosen to emulate the flesh and machine in the same way that they did with the Hellbrute. It looks very good. I'm really in love with the way that Defiler, the new Defiler, looks. I wonder if they'll do a greater Scorpion, because you used, if I remember, was there a way that you could make a brass Scorpion out of 2 Defiler kits? Am I remembering that right, or am I remembering it wrong? Somebody leave me a comment to let me know if that was a thing. I always thought it was, that you could make a brass Scorpion out of 2 Defiler kits. I've got something over this because it's making the paint difficult to cover. It's like when you polish a car, wax polish a car, and you put water on it, and it sort of like all starts to bead. It's kind of doing that. So I wonder if I've been somewhere and maybe got some silicone polish close to it or something. Hopefully by the time I've done this guy, just giving him his base coats, the other chaps will be ready to take a second base coat. Training for my London to Brighton charity bike ride has started proper now. Trying to make time to ensure I get in my 3 runs a week and 2 visits to the gym along with cycling. So when I go to the gym, I take a route which takes me out and then back, so that the round trip to the gym takes me about 10 miles, which is all just sort of like additional mileage in preparation for the 54 miles that the London to Brighton consists of. And hopefully I'll get it done. The hill there's like a major hill over the South Downs into Brighton that really catches people out. I can't remember what it's called. I want to say Box Hill, but I might be wrong. And it really catches people out with its severity, maybe. That might be what I want to call it. I'd like to think if I do enough training, I could attack it and get it done in a 1 and not have to get off the bike and walk. That would be really nice. But I'm also not going to be too proud to admit if I did have to get off the bike and walk. I am going to try and record the journey, and I will post up a video on the channel when I've done it to for people to, if they're interested, they can have a look and see how it went. But all being well, get the London to Brighton bike ride done, and hopefully raise a minimum of £350 for the British Heart Foundation is the target that I've set, but it would be really nice if I could raise more. So my request is, you know, if you want to just drop some money, I will put a link, or although I think there is a link to my Just Giving page for the fundraiser. And if you want to drop a small donation, even if it's just a couple of quid, that would be really, really fabulous. Because there's nearly 1,000 people on my channel, and you know, if everybody just dropped £1, that would smash the target and take us up to quite a bit, and it would be really appreciated, not just by me, but I'm sure by, you know, the people that the charity helps as well. I really don't know what I did. I think I tried to experiment with putting Seraphim Sepia all over the armour and then coming back in to just do the armour panels, but I don't think it worked very well with this particular mini. I think this might have been the test piece and it didn't go to plan. And because of that, I've got a lot of cleaning up to do, as it were. So, like I said, I'm going to try and make sure that I leave, as much of the sepia colour in the recesses as I can. Try not to go too mad in bringing this back up to, I think I made a right hash of the eyes as well, actually, so I might have to just paint them in. Yeah, I'll just paint them in and then sort them out again. What are people working on? Put it in the comments, let us know. You know, are you working on NIDS? Are you working on Votan? Are you working on Ultramarines? Pop it in the comments, let us know what you're working on, if you're doing anything at all, or if you are just taking a break from the hobby. And you know, because you've had a bit of hobby burnout, taking a break is absolutely fine. Hopefully my friends and I will be getting together next Saturday to finish off a themed scenario game. And then the month after that, in March, I think we'll probably just do a hobby day where we're either building and painting, or just sort of like maybe building some terrain or something. But we'll wait and see. I think what we might be doing between us in our little group, the little group that I'm with, I think we may just literally be doing a month game and then a month hobby, as it were. Let's just get this on here. Right, now this guy is, I'm going to leave him to just dry a little bit, and then let's have a look at these guys and see how the paint has dried. Okay, I think I can come in with a slightly different brush now to just make sure that the colour is even. So I'm just going to come in and use a Citadel starter brush to just do the panels a second time. We can get away with the starter brush because we're not doing anything which is finely detailed at this stage. I don't know if you can hear the people walking and talking as they pass the front of the house in the street. If you do, I apologise. I'm having trouble with my internet connection at the moment, which is why I haven't uploaded as much in the last few weeks. Also, YouTube have changed the way that you upload, and it takes significantly longer now for me to upload a file to YouTube, because I think it sort of like gets compressed and then they send the file and then it's processed. And whereas I could send like a 30-minute video in sort of like an hour, and then it would be on the channel, the current thing that seems to be happening is I'm uploading a video and it's taking sort of like between 4 and 6 hours sometimes, just because there seems to be a new way that they're doing the upload. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on with YouTube in that respect. I haven't caught up with Night of the Seven Kingdoms yet. Last week it was odd. I don't know if it was because of the Super Bowl was on the Sunday. Was it Super Bowl on the Sunday? And because of that, the episode 4, I think, was streamed on the Thursday or the Wednesday or the Thursday, because I definitely remember seeing it early. But obviously, we're back to episode 5 being shown on Sunday night. So, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this trial by 7 or trial of 7 combat in this episode. I've kind of like caught up with the basic gist from the books, so I know what happens, but it'd be nice to see that translation onto the screen and see how they translate it. A lot of people who have been watching the show and have read the books have turned around and said it's been pretty faithful so far. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts on that. And there was no Fallout this week, which is depressing because it finished last week. That was great. And I haven't caught up with this week's episode of Starfleet Academy. Although last week's, I finally caught up with last week's with their kind of like homage to Avery Brooks and Captain Sisko. Was quite nice. That was quite an interesting episode. I don't know what people think of the new Starfleet Academy. I know some people aren't overly enamoured with, is it Holly Hunter, the Chancellor? Aren't overly enamoured with her putting her feet up on the command chair and stuff like that. And it's like everybody's got their own style. Don't knock it. I think when you get to be as old, is she a Lanthanite, or whatever they are? Those beings that live for an incredibly long amount of time. I think if you were a few hundred years old, you'd probably get a bit sort of like meh at the stiffness of certain formalities yourself. I know I probably would. I don't know when the next season of Strange New Worlds is due out. I don't even know if they've started principal photography for it. I'll have to wait and see. One program I am looking forward to coming out is season 3 of Silo. I haven't read the Dust books, but I've kind of like caught up with a brief synopsis of them, and I think season 3 is going to be really interesting. Giving the background to the reason why the silos are there. I think that's going to be, really interesting to watch and learn the backstory for these silos. And I just love Rebecca Ferguson as well. So, I'm watching it because she's in it. No bias there at all whatsoever. Might have a slight crush. Well, actually, rather a big crush, but But we'll wait and see what they do. And again, haven't heard much since it was announced that Amazon MGM were going to do a new Stargate series. I haven't heard much from them on that. I should really go over to the Sidetrack channel and see if they've got any more news on that. because I'd love to find out when roughly they think that will actually start production and then be released. And I really do hope that reference is made to Destiny from Stargate Universe, because I really want to find out what happened to that and whether Eli survived, or whether they all survived, to be quite honest, or whether they're all still in stasis. Right, I think that is going to be okay. They've had a couple of coats of the Wraithbone. That should give me a solid enough colour. I think I will just check it before I start bringing in some of the other colours onto the minis. But I think that should be fine. Let's have a look and see what our Terminator, part painted Terminator is looking like. And I think I need to just come in on this guy. Okay, just noticing that I've got a few spots where I've overbrushed when I was coming in with different colours, where I've overbrushed and I've had a bit of bleed on the colours. So let's look at getting this to a position where I'm happy. The lighter colours can be a real pain, you know, which is why I used to just undercoat all my miniatures in Chaos Black spray, and I've stopped doing that. Now I've got more primer colours, and I'm more inclined to spray miniatures with a different primer depending on what the finish is going to be. So for example, my Deathwing Knights now all get primed with Wraithbone. If I'm doing like figures for Dungeons and Dragons, they'll predominantly be sprayed Wraithbone because they're not necessarily going to be grimdark, are they? And then things like the Chaos Space Marines Combat Patrol that came with the Hachette collection, because I'm doing Crimson Slaughter, they all got sprayed red, you know. The Orcs, a lot of the Orc stuff has been sprayed green, but the vehicles have been sprayed with lead belcher, and I will base coat up from there. But yeah, I used to religiously just use a black primer for everything. And probably a couple of years ago now that I stopped doing that and started using a more varied selection of primers when it came to my miniatures. My Dark Angels Green Wing still gets sprayed black though. I don't spray them green. They start from a black undercoat. And obviously the Raven Wing are black, obviously. Right. Okay, I think I'm happy-ish with the touch-ups on this. I can always come in and hopefully pin wash should it be necessary to add some brightening to the or some shading to certain parts of the miniature. This guy's thumb needs doing. The thumb on that side, yeah. So there we go. Just realised I missed a bit, and that is in need. Okay, right, done. Right then, let's have a look at these guys, see how well. So so they're looking quite good now. I like the way that it's turned out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with black and do the armor joints and the power pack panels at the back here. So these power pack panels here are going to be done black. This is what I normally do. Oh. Using the wet palette now, so I've got a little bit more control over how much I'm putting on the brush. And again, just in case people want to know, I use a Green Stuff World wet palette for the miniatures, sorry, for my paint. I've had it a couple of years now, and I find the combination of using a wet palette and an ordinary paint palette quite handy. Okay, so one thing I hate about doing the armor joints is that I always get paint everywhere, and I will have to come in and tidy that up. What was with 11th edition around the corner, what are on people's wish lists for GW to release with 11th? There's a lot of talk that we're going to get Orcs and Space Marines. I understand that the Space Marines this edition are potentially going to be painted as Blood Angels for the promo for the box set. I've got a friend who's a Blood Angels collector, so that should please her. Not necessarily will have Blood Angels iconography sculpted onto the Marines, but will just be painted as Blood Angels. Come on. Having to wear glasses is a real pain in the arse these days. Although I can see better when I've got my glasses on. And something that happened this week is Every have brassed me right off. I ordered something. I've ordered a new camera on a gimbal so I can start recording my fitness journey and use it, hopefully use it for better painting videos on the channel. I'm kind of hoping that I'll be able to set the camera in front of me, because at the moment it's the position that I use for the camera is like a top down. I have an arm here on the side of the table and the camera is on a top down position. And I think the camera on a gimbal will hopefully give me a better angle, and it's got a tiny little LCD screen on it, will allow me to see better what I'm actually painting, and my hand position, because I am aware that in some of my videos my hand position when I'm building things, so when I do my reviews for Combat Patrol or the part works, I am aware that my hand position will sometimes be out of camera shot, because I'm doing a top down, so coming in from the top angle, and obviously I understand that that is a pain in the backside. So I'm hoping that the camera, it's a DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and I'm hoping that is going to just help eliminate some of that. Okay, so that's one. Oh, actually, I just realised I need to do the cabling. Does anybody use the DJI Osmo? I'm kind of hoping to use it when I go to the gym, and also when I go out for a run if it's dry. I understand that it's not an action cam, so it's a little bit fragile in certain respects, so I won't be taking it out with me when I go for a run in the rain. But has anybody used it? What are your thoughts? It'd be interesting to hear your perspective on it. But yeah, so Friday I got a message sometime around about 3 o'clock that they were going to deliver this parcel between 5:30 and 6:30 in the evening, and 6:30 came and went, and I thought, right, okay, they're running a little bit behind. Then I received a message from their customer service department stating that the driver was behind, but the item would still be delivered that day. Needless to say, that didn't happen. You know, by about 9 o'clock, it was, you know, I was obviously of the opinion that it wasn't going to get delivered, and it wasn't. But the status didn't update until around about, it was either midday or about 2 o'clock, I can't remember. Midday or 2 o'clock on the Saturday, the status wasn't updated. And it's like, how bad is that? They basically turned around and said that they're sorry they didn't deliver it. And in actual fact, what they said was, we're sorry we didn't deliver it today. And it's like, it's not that, you know, you're sending me this message on Saturday. You're supposed to have did it yesterday. So they can't even get their days right. It will now be attempted on the next working day. So that will be Monday, which is a real pain in the ass because I had plans for Monday. And now I need to sort of like just be in and around home to make sure that when it arrives, I can pick it up. Because the other thing that really annoys me with delivery at the moment is they have a habit of just leaving it downstairs in the communal area, in the communal entrance. And it's like, how is that delivered? In what world is, you know, leaving something in a communal hallway classed as we've delivered it? It's like, no, you haven't delivered it. It's only delivered when I've got it. And I really do wish, I don't know whether you agree, but I really do wish that the government would turn around and say that the courier industry needs to get it sorted out, or they'll legislate that, you know, it will be their responsibility until it's in the hands of somebody. Yeah, that's just, you know, and trying to use their customer service chat, every customer service chat, it's AI, and the answers are very limited. And if you turn around and say, I'd like to speak to a real person, it says, I don't understand, you need to enter this information. And eventually it just turned around and said, I can't help you, and just ended the chat. I was like, what's the point of this? How is this considered to be acceptable customer service? Maybe it's because I'm old. But yeah, AI has no real place, I think, in things like customer service. Because I know people of a certain age want to speak to a real live person. I'm one of them. I think AI has its place in certain things, but customer service isn't necessarily one of those things. So these are a little bit tatty, but I will come in and just tidy these up before moving on to the next stage. So my general recipe for my Deathwing is Wraithbone, armour, black for wired cables, and we've got these armoured cables here which I'll paint with lead belcher for other metallic areas, including the lightning claws on this guy. I paint the eagle on the chest an off-white, and then I come in with a watered down green wash to give it a subtle green hint. And then obviously red for the Deathwing iconography, greys for the Crux Terminators, and then maybe a gold for any potential trim. That's kind of like my recipe, my base recipe for Deathwing Terminators. Right. I've got any tea left? I don't think I've got any tea left. Oh. And it's cold. Ugh. Not my favourite. Right. Let's do a little bit of touching up for this guy. So. I need to get myself a thermal mug, I think. I used to have one when I was working, because when you were sat watching CCTV, it was handy having a hot drink, you know, just there in a thermal mug. Because hopping up and going to the other side of the bloody building in order to make a cup of tea and then come back was a pain in the arse. Right, here we go. Now this is going to be awkward because I need to get the brush in there. Fuck. Right, okay. And then I've got that right really tight in there. Should have like left his power claws off, I suppose, but at the time I thought it was going to be a reasonably open pose for me to be able to just get in here and paint. Right, let's get rid of that. Okay. Okay. And then we've got some seals in there, part of the bodysuit in there, and in just there. Now I can come back in and just tidy that up a little once it's dried. Okay. Next, and this guy's got Okay. And just have a look at the back. Like so. Bloody hell, it's 5 to 8 already. I don't think people, you know, non-hobby people actually realise the time that people put into painting miniatures. You know, in an hour, I've done a couple of base coats on 4 minis, touched up another one to try and correct a mistake, and added in some black on the body glove joints, on the armour joints and the engine exhaust vents, and that's it. And as stuff gets more intricate, it's going to take more time. I don't think non-hobbyists understand that. I know that I do suffer from falling out of love with doing a miniature, and I'll put it aside, and it may take me anywhere between sort of like 6 to 18 months before I come back to it. And finish it off, as it were. But I think that I think a lot of us do it because it's kind of like a peace. It's kind of like our peaceful time. Just allows us to concentrate on something else without the pressures of the world bearing down on us for a couple of hours. I don't know your thoughts on it. Let me know what your thoughts are on how you view your painting time, your hobby time. I think gaming's slightly different because obviously it's a social thing. But I think sitting down and painting is an incredibly personal thing that people do. Because like I say, it can be, for a lot of people, it can be just that time when they sit and they're quiet. They might have something playing on the TV or something, a podcast on, or YouTube, and just their time to zone out and just do something that they enjoy. But let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on how you see your the time that you spend painting. Because I can sit and paint. I did it the other night. I got rather engrossed into painting something, and before I knew it, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. So, you know, let me know what's the longest time you've ended up painting something without realizing. But hey, there you go. Right, it's 8 o'clock, so I'm going to call it. Thank you for those that came, and I will hopefully see you next week. All right, you have a good week, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.